In a world without power, knowledge is your greatest weapon. Welcome to Grid Down Guide. Survive and thrive. Learn essential skills. Build resilience. Grid Down Guide. Your survival starts here.
In a world where society functions on a delicate balance of systems, electricity, communication, transportation, food, and medicine, what happens when everything suddenly stops? In a grid-down scenario where the collapse of infrastructure and the absence of basic resources disrupt daily life, the first reaction of many people is panic. Imagine a world where the internet goes dark, power is gone, and supply chains break down. No news, no communication, and no warning. In that moment, civilization would quickly descend into chaos. Without the ability to communicate, without the comfort of information, fear and confusion would take over. What's happening? Why did the lights go out? What's next? The absence of media would be one of the first blows to mental stability. People rely on the news not just for entertainment, but to understand the world around them. With no idea of why the grid has failed, people would be left to their own imaginations, and fear often fills that vacuum with worst-case scenarios. As the days go by and basic supplies, water, food, medicine begin to dwindle, panic sets in. Everyone knows that resources are finite, and when it becomes clear that they will soon run out, desperation will kick in. Looting will become rampant in urban areas where the population density makes it easier to overwhelm stores, warehouses, and other essential establishments. In fact, cities would be among the first places to see chaos unfold. In places like New York City, Los Angeles, or Chicago, where people are already accustomed to fast-paced lives and constant access to goods and services, the breakdown of supply chains would feel like a slow-motion disaster. And with no power to drive communications, even the most law-abiding citizens would feel the need to act outside the boundaries of normal behavior. Violence would inevitably follow. Without law enforcement, who is there to stop looting, to stop the aggressive behavior? With no communication and no clear chain of authority, lawlessness will quickly take hold. People will do whatever it takes to survive. As the days turn into weeks, the chaos intensifies. Urban centers, already overcrowded and overstressed, would become a hotbed of tension. And when resources in these areas become too scarce, those with the means to do so will attempt to leave. Mass migrations will occur as people look to escape the anarchy and search for safe havens. Cities will empty as people flee to suburban or rural areas, seeking to find food, water, and shelter. But what happens when those areas are already overwhelmed with refugees or worse, under attack themselves? The mass exodus from cities will create its own set of problems. Refugees, often with nothing more than what they can carry, will clog roads, highways, and transportation networks. Shelters will be overrun, and resources in these areas will deplete even faster than they did in the cities. Without any central authority to organize these groups, civil unrest will spread rapidly. And where there is no food, no shelter, and no protection, violence will erupt between those trying to secure what little remains. As society begins to fragment, the basic rules that hold civilization together will disappear. What happens when people no longer trust their neighbors? What happens when loyalty and community become secondary to survival? This kind of breakdown isn't just theoretical. History has shown us how fragile social order can be. In extreme conditions, whether due to war, natural disasters, or other large-scale crises, societies have experienced complete collapses. For instance, during the Great Depression, when food and work were scarce, there were instances of people resorting to desperate measures. Similar situations can be found in history during wartime, like the collapse of Yugoslavia in the 1990s or the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina in 2005. What's different now in a world so dependent on interconnected systems is that when the systems fail, everything fails. In the absence of communication, food, and safety, people will form factions. Tribes, if you will, fighting not just for survival, but for control over whatever resources are left. While some may seek to rebuild, others will fall victim to violence and crime. The rich, who are usually insulated from crises, may find themselves targeted as well. In a world with no rules, no protections, no limits, everyone will be forced to choose, fight, flee, or succumb. Ultimately, in the early days of this collapse, survival will be the single most important goal. Trust will be rare, and security even rarer. Yet, as time passes, some may begin to organize again, create new societies, new norms, and rebuild from the ground up, but it won't be easy. In the wake of mass panic and civil unrest, it will take far more than just survival skills to emerge. It will require resilience, hope, and perhaps most importantly, cooperation. Because in the end, the ability to adapt and work together may be the only thing that ensures our survival, even in the most desperate of circumstances.
Prepare now. Hands urgently pack emergency survival kit. Survive anything. Subscribe now. Grid Down Guide.